Listen up, because what I'm about to expose is going to shake the entire WWE Universe to its core. You think you saw a legend's return? No. What you witnessed was an orchestrated burial that Triple H himself may have greenlit from his ivory tower in Stamford. Two of the most dangerous predators in WWE history just destroyed a rising star's momentum in one of the most controversial ambushes we've seen in years, and somebody backstage is about to have serious heat over this booking decision. Before we dive into this explosive breakdown, we have a quick request for you. We are constantly working to improve our content to earn your love and support. That's why we would truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on Wrestling Zone Insider. Because trust me, after what I'm about to reveal, you'll need those notifications turned on. Now, let me ask you something that's going to make your blood boil. When did it become acceptable for WWE to sacrifice their future for a cheap nostalgia pop? When did the locker room start allowing part-timers to waltz back in and bury the very talent that's been carrying this company on their backs week after week, house show after house show, while these legends were sitting at home counting their millions? Here's the shoot nobody in Stamford wants you to hear. Batista and Brock Lesnar didn't just return to WWE. They returned with a mission. And that mission? To remind everyone who the real top guys are by absolutely decimating one of WWE's brightest rising stars in what insiders are calling one of the most vicious beatdowns in recent memory. The backstage buzz is deafening right now, and my sources are telling me that this wasn't just some random attack. This was calculated. This was personal. And most importantly, this was booked to send a message that has the entire locker room questioning their spot on the card. Let me paint you the picture of what went down, because the ramifications of this ambush are going to echo through WWE programming for months. Picture this: a rising star, someone who's been getting massive organic pops from the crowd, someone the WWE Universe has genuinely invested in, standing in that ring cutting a promo. The energy is electric, the momentum is real, and then it happens. That unmistakable drum beat, that iconic theme music that makes every single person in that arena lose their minds. Batista's music hits, and the place erupts. But here's where it gets twisted. This isn't a celebration. The animal doesn't come out with a smile and a wave. He comes out with murder in his eyes, and every single person who knows wrestling psychology knows exactly what that means. The rising star is confused. The crowd is confused. And then, before anyone can process what's happening, here comes the pain. Brock Lesnar's music destroys the sound system, and Paul Heyman is nowhere to be found, because this isn't about promos. This isn't about building to WrestleMania. This is about two apex predators making an example out of someone who apparently stepped on the wrong toes backstage. Now here's your first trivia question, and I want you flooding the comments with your answers. Who do you think has more legitimate backstage pull right now, Batista or Brock Lesnar? Drop your answer below. What happens next is what has everyone talking. These two legends, these two Hall of Famers, proceed to dismantle this rising star with a level of brutality that had even the hardened veterans backstage watching the monitors with their jaws on the floor. We're talking Batista bombs. We're talking F5s. We're talking a display of dominance that makes it crystal clear the old guard isn't ready to pass the torch, and they are willing to destroy anyone who thinks otherwise. But here's where this story gets absolutely nuclear, and why people in WWE's upper management are reportedly in damage control mode. This rising star, they were being groomed. They were in line for a major push. Creative had plans that stretched all the way to next year's WrestleMania. And in one segment, in one brutal ambush, all of that momentum just got buried under the weight of nostalgia and part-timer politics. My sources are telling me that there was a heated meeting after this segment went down. And I'm not talking about a casual conversation in catering. I'm talking about shouting matches between agents, producers, and even some of the higher-ups about whether this booking decision was the right move. On one side, you've got the people who believe that Batista and Lesnar returning creates instant buzz, brings in lapsed fans, and generates the kind of mainstream attention that WWE craves. They are pointing to social media numbers, they are pointing to the trending topics, they are saying this is exactly the kind of shock value that gets people talking about WWE again. But on the other side, you've got the people who are furious that WWE just sacrificed a homegrown talent, someone who's been putting in the work every single week, for what amounts to a one-night nostalgia trip that does nothing for the long-term future of the company. These are the people asking the real questions. What happens to this rising star now? How do they recover from getting absolutely destroyed by two legends? And most importantly, what message does this send to every other young talent in that locker room who's been told to pay their dues while part-timers waltz in and take their spot? Here's the tea that's being spilled in catering right now, and trust me when I say this is confirmed by multiple sources. This ambush wasn't originally supposed to go down the way it did. The original pitch had the rising star at least getting some offense in, showing some fire, maybe even looking strong in defeat. But somewhere between the pitch and the execution, the script got rewritten, and what we ended up with was a complete and total burial that has people questioning who actually made the call. Was it Triple H trying to recapture that Attitude Era shock value? Was it Vince still pulling strings from wherever he is? Or was it Batista and Lesnar themselves, using their legendary status and backstage clout to book themselves strong at the expense of the younger generation? And here's where the conspiracy theories start getting wild, because nothing happens in WWE by accident. Some people backstage are whispering that this rising star may have generated too much organic heat with the wrong people. Maybe they weren't playing ball politically. Maybe they rubbed someone the wrong way in a meeting. Maybe their push was making other people uncomfortable because it wasn't manufactured by the machine. It was real, genuine connection with the audience that you can't fake and can't script. Here's your second trivia question, and this one's going to be controversial. Do you think part-timers like Batista and Lesnar help or hurt the current WWE roster? Let me know in the comments, and don't hold back. Now let's talk about the booking consequences, because this is where things get absolutely fascinating from a creative standpoint. Where does this rising star go from here? Do they get a revenge storyline? Do they get to eventually overcome these legends and use this as a springboard to even bigger things? Or was this literally just a sacrifice to the nostalgia gods that leaves them floundering in the midcard for the next 6 months? The wrestling psychology expert in me says that if, and this is a big if, WWE books this correctly, this could actually be the making of this rising star. Think about it, getting destroyed by two of the biggest names in WWE history could be the adversity they need to show the fire, the resilience, the hunger that turns them into a bona fide main eventer. But that's only if creative follows through, and WWE's track record with follow-through is, let's be honest, spotty at best. The cynical veteran observer in me says this was nothing more than a cheap pop for two returning legends that does nothing for anyone except Batista and Lesnar's egos and WWE short-term trending topics. In 3 weeks, everyone will have forgotten about this ambush. The rising star will be wrestling on main event, and Batista and Lesnar will be back home cashing their massive checks while the full-time roster picks up the pieces. But here's what has me most concerned about this entire situation, the precedent it sets. If WWE can just bring back legends whenever they want to bury their current stars for a nostalgia pop, what does that say about the value they place on the talent that's actually there every single week? What does it say to someone busting their body in house shows, grinding through dark matches, paying their dues the right way, only to watch a part-timer come back and take their spot with zero earned momentum? The locker room is reportedly divided on this. You've got some veterans who understand the business, who know that legends returning equals money and attention, who are willing to take one for the team if it means the overall product gets more eyes on it. But you've also got a vocal group of younger talent who are sick of playing second fiddle to the past, who want WWE to invest in them the way they invested in previous generations. And let's talk about the controversial elephant in the room that nobody in WWE wants to address. At what point does nostalgia become a crutch? At what point does constantly going back to the well of past stars become an admission that you don't have faith in your current roster to carry the company? Because that's the message this ambush sends, whether WWE intended it or not. Here's your third and final trivia question, and I want you to really think about this one. If you could book the follow-up to this angle, how would you have the rising star get their revenge? Fantasy book it in the comments. Now, before we wrap this up, we have a quick request for you. We are constantly working to improve our content to earn your love and support. That's why we would truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on Wrestling Zone Insider. The real story here isn't just about an ambush. It's about the eternal struggle in wrestling between honoring the past and building the future. It's about backstage politics, creative control, and who really has the power to dictate the direction of the biggest wrestling company in the world. Batista and Lesnar returning with vengeance wasn't just a segment, it was a statement about where WWE's priorities lie. And that statement has the entire wrestling world buzzing with opinions. So what happens next? Does the rising star get their redemption arc, or was this just another casualty in WWE's never-ending quest for viral moments? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, the landscape of WWE just shifted in a major way, and the fallout from this ambush is going to be felt for a long time. This has been Wrestling Zone Insider bringing you the real story behind the storylines. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let me know in the comments, Team Rising Star or Team Legends. The debate starts now.